Good morning, Art 1 students. This is Miss Watson again. Hello. Welcome back from spring break. I know it's been a minute. I'm outdoors. I do have my microphone, but you may hear some birds chirping. My dog is definitely going to bark at something that is unimportant. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've been working at the pace of 2 assignments per week. This assignment that I'm about to present, though, is going to be worth 2 assignments. So if you choose to do this, it'll be worth 2 grades. So, and one of them will be a test grade and one of them will be a daily grade. So if you are really trying to raise your grade from 3rd quarter, this would be a great one to do. So we're going to talk about something called land art, and it is exactly what you would think it is. I'm trying to go forward in the slideshow and it's not working. There we go. So land art, or it's sometimes called earth art, it is art that's made directly in the landscape, sculpting land itself into earthworks or making structures in the landscape using natural materials such as rocks or twigs. So it's not like making a sculpture out of rocks or twigs and then putting it in a gallery. It's just making it right onto the land and leaving it there. So you guys have probably seen land art that you didn't know was land art. If you've ever been to like Big Saudi Gulf or a creek or something like that, you see people stacking stones. That would technically be land art. There's 2 examples here. I don't know the artist's name. I think this guy's name is Robert Smith. I can't remember. But as you can see, this is an ocean or a lake, I don't know. And he's made a path out into it that kind of leads to nowhere. That it doesn't look very large here, but it's large enough that you can walk on. And then this person here is just playing with like how we think about gravity and having the rocks. He's probably got a metal rod or something through the rocks, but he's got the rocks going around, and then he's photographed it at the perfect time where it's a circle. So if we were talking about meaning, we could probably talk about this piece a little bit more, just that it being an infinite circle and how nature is going on and on and on. Some people think it's infinite, but we definitely know it's a lot older than us, whatever you think. But anyway, land art is usually about how the artist interacts with nature, or sometimes it's not necessarily about nature, but nature is just the best vehicle to express their idea. Most of the time it includes an idea about nature itself. This guy, Andy Goldsworthy, he's one of my favorite land artists, and he has a lot of work. So you're going to have to choose a land artist for this assignment to do a short presentation about, and you don't have to talk into the computer, but just a slideshow. So Andy Goldsworthy would be a great one to do because he has a lot of sculptures. We would call them sculptures because they're 3D. So these are just photographs of his sculptures. In these 2, I like these because he's just using color. So he's gone and he's collected leaves, and he's just arranged them in a really cool way so that it looks almost like a black hole, right? And he would leave this here and it would get destroyed. So someone would probably walk all over it, or the wind would blow it away. And that's just part of what land art is. This one over here, he's used the same idea, and he's got the really light leaves really close to the tree. And he's created kind of an ombre type effect out so that it looks like the tree is glowing. But all that is leaves. It's not digitally edited, which is pretty cool. All right, the next guy, his name is Patrick I can't say his name, Darty. He has a lot of work too, and he's more of a local artist. So Andy Goldsworthy's really, really well known. This guy is a little bit more southern local. This particular sculpture I actually helped build. This is at ETSU, East Tennessee State University, and he came and we collected these sticks from around wooded areas of the campus, and then he built the main structures, but we came and threaded these sticks through the main structures. So that's pretty cool. part of his work is that it's out in the elements and it's totally natural, so it deteriorates with time as well. So I think he even takes his down after a certain amount of time. And so, yeah, because it starts to look bad. So let's say in 5 years, this starts to deteriorate, and then he has it taken down. But he's a cool artist to look at as well. This is a person named Walter Mason. I don't know anything about him, but I pulled this image from a website talking about land art, and I just thought it was cool because it's very small scale, whereas the other ones that we've looked at are on a larger scale. So I think that his work probably is just about design, so it's just supposed to look cool. So he's used something to cut into these leaves. On a much bigger scale, but probably simpler, even though it's a lot bigger. Simpler made anyway, not planned out and constructed. But this is a guy named Jim Denovan. Never heard of him either, but this is sand, and so he has raked the sand in a way that created this design. And as you can see, as the tide comes in, it will wash it away. But that's just one of the things that land artists like about the medium, is that it's impermanent. Whereas usually when we're making art, we're making it so that it will last a really long time, and professional artists are making decisions so that it'll last forever. It's called archival. So they'll use certain types of inks, they'll use certain types of sealants for their paintings so that they'll last hundreds of years in a gallery or whatever. But these people are making it for the moment. So that should tell you quite a bit about how they view art versus how someone probably more like us would view art. Okay, this woman's really cool. Her name's Cornelia Conrads, and she seems to be kind of obsessed with this like floating idea. A lot of her work is natural elements that are suspended and look like they're floating upward. So she's not using just land here. You can see up here there's a wire and there's probably fishing line or something. So hers is a little more artificial, but it does stay on the land and it's not in a gallery, so it's land art. But yeah, she's really cool. So hers is I mean, if we were to talk about what this piece means, you could say that, oh, it just looks cool, right? You could also talk about, well, is it disappearing, or is it coming into form, right? We don't really know. It's just based on your perception, I think. Could it be saying something about where the sticks came from, like cutting down trees? Could it say something about building things, like as humans? Maybe. So there's a lot to look into with this kind of work. I think this is the last guy that I have as an example. His name's Simon Beck, and he primarily works out in this snowy landscape. So if you can see it right here, he has designed, basically it's a drawing of a snowflake in the snow. But if we were to go and look, these tracks that are made, I don't know if they're made by his feet or a tool, like a piece of wood or something. But it's pretty cool. I don't really know how artists like this lay out their work, but yeah, it's pretty neat. This is the last slide, actually. So you might run into something called environmental art, and sometimes it's classified as land art and sometimes it's not. This is inside of a gallery, so I think you could argue it either way. If you want to work with an artist who's more of an environmental artist, then go for it. So the difference here is that an environmental artist would be looking at and trying to address ecological and political issues, right? So this person, they might be talking about how we've got all these artificial things inside of a museum. They're putting just land inside of a museum, so they might just be saying something like, hey, why don't you just go outside, right? They might be kind of like anti-museum. I don't know that, but there's a lot of cool environmental art that you may want to look at. So if you care about things like, clean water or straws in the ocean or just recycling in general, there's a lot of cool artwork that addresses that and calls it out. All right, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to find a land artist that interests you. You can use any of them that I talked about from the slideshow, or you can research land artists or environmental artists or even earth artists, and you can find somebody totally unique and different. And then you're going to create a slideshow in Google Slides, and you just, for each of these points here, you're just going to have a slide about it. So it's really not that much work. I want to see who you guys pick, and I want to know why you picked them. So the first slide is just the artist's name and a photo of the artist, if you can find that. Then you're going to have 3 slides, a photo on each, and with the photo, I want to know the title of the work too. So you're going to have 3 pieces from the artist that you picked, and then a slide on what the artist thinks their work is about or what other people think their work is about. So you might just find an article that mentions like what their work addresses. So some examples of what that might be is their work might address identity, and then you can tell me why. Or their work might be about conserving natural resources, and you can tell me why. Please don't just copy and paste from the website, because I want you to digest the information, and so just write it in your own words. And then the last slide will be on why their work interests you and why you chose them. So for these 2, give me like, a full slide of writing on it, because up here you're not going to have to do anything. So definitely complete sentences on these 2 down here. So as I mentioned, this will count as 2 grades in Power School. 1 is a test grade, 1 is a daily grade. So if you complete this, then it could really help your 3rd quarter average. Or, referring back to my email, if you're good on the 3rd quarter average, what this will prepare you to do is that next week you're going to make a piece of land art, and you're going to make your own. So this research will prepare you to do that, and you can do that now so that next week you can just get started on the artwork. So I'm excited to see who you guys choose. I don't know all that much about land art. I think it's cool, but it's just not one of the areas that I know a lot of artists in. So I hope that you guys all pick some different people. So, all right, if you have questions, email me, please. And I hope you guys have a great week, and good luck on this.